everybody! Woo, Melanie, good to see you again. Oh, Susan! I love the new profile pic. Joe, what's it like in LA today? Woo! All right, everybody, on the count of three, we're gonna get it started. 1, 2, 3, Matrix! Woo! All right, everyone. I'm Jody. I own Jo Rae's Creations. I'm going to teach you today how to do this technique. I don't know about you all, but the e-girl look is coming back. So we're going to add some depth, add a little bit of a money piece here, and we'll get started. So if everyone could please keep their cameras on so I can see you. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat bar. Now, how many people have struggled to do the perfect money piece with the new looks that are coming back in? And especially the looks to help kill any warmth in the hair, because everyone wants the dark with the light. If that is you, give me a thumbs up in the chat bar on your camera, or type EG for e-girl in the bar. Yes, yes. Money pieces for days. So I'm going to show you how I created this look very, very simply. Give it some texture, give it some tussle, give it some depth, and still have these face framing pieces. Now, this is Viola. She is my lovely model for today, but we have a slight issue. Viola's hair is very damaged. It is also very porous. So for this money piece, we agreed that it's not going to be as light as what she originally hopes, but it is as light as we can safely get it and not kill her hair. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So come with me. What I'm going to use today is, of course, my Lightmaster 8 with the bonder, because she does have some breakage and we want to maintain the integrity of her hair. For her base color, she doesn't really have a lot of gray, and typically I would not use a permanent color, and this is the 6AA, but because she's wanting a really strong base, we're going to do this for about the first half an inch. Now, to create the depth, what we're going to use instead is the new Color Sync Sheer Acidic Toners. I'm going to use both the neutral and the brunette ash and take pieces of it so that she gets a nice fall between the neutralized non-gold and warm and the straight ash, so she still has a little bit of depth and dimension. To tone this money piece that she has that is so lovely on her, we're going to use an 8V and a 10A in Color Sync. So let's get started. First thing that you're going to notice is I did slightly atypical sections. I did from her apex to the top of her ear for the back and forward. But in front here, I did a diagonal part from her temple to the apex. So you can see it running from here to here. Now, let's mix things up. So first I'm going to use my Lightmaster Bonder. And to mix this is a little different than your typical Lightmasters, because this has a 1.5 or even 2 ratio. So I'm going to put in a 1/2 ounce. I've got my measuring tool down here. 1/2 ounce of lightener to 1 ounce of 20 volume, the Matrix Cream Developer. Does anybody know why we're going to use 20 volume instead of something higher? That is absolutely right, because her hair is porous and it's been a little bit compromised. So we're going to go low and slow to lift this up rather than really pop it and damage her hair. So I'm mixing that 1/2 ounce of bonding inside Lightmaster 8 to 1 ounce of 20 volume cream developer. So we've got that. Now to mix up our color. So to do this color, I'm going to use, obviously, a bowl and my 6AA. Now, because she does not have gray, she does, but she's maybe 2%. She's got 12 hairs that I've counted. I'm only going to use a 10 volume for this, simply because there's not enough gray to really facilitate a 20 volume. Now for a standard application, I would typically use 1.5 ounces for a whole head to do a root touch-up. But since we're only doing half of a head, I'm just gonna half that and do about 3/4 ounce. Now to mix this, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. So I'm going to use my 10 volume cream developer and sync out my scale here. I used 1 ounce of, or not 1 ounce, 1/4 ounce. I used 3/4 ounce. I can't use my big people words today. And 3/4 ounce of developer. So we'll get this mixed up, and then we'll mix up our toners. So for the ends, because she is so porous, I've already gone ahead and misted her lightly with Instacure. Now I keep my Instacure in a decorative bottle because it lives on my station all the time. And I go through the little pumps like it's nobody's business. All my clients see it on my shelves. I've got the big bottles, Instacure, it's life. Find yourself a decorative bottle. It looks very cute sitting by your mirror every day. So next I'm going to do the Brunette Neutral. Open this up. And again, this is a 1-to-1 ratio. Measure out 3/4 ounce of this. I would use more if we were doing the whole head, but for a half a head, and she has very fine hair, so we don't need to worry about that. Mix that up. Again, get my 10 volume developer. And voila. Now for the second one that we're going to use, I'll just go ahead and keep that there because I'm going to use it again very, very quickly. Mix that up good. Now I'm going to take the Sheer Acidic Ash Brunette and do the exact same thing. 3/4 ounce of this. And I probably don't need that much and it's a little overkill, but I want to make sure for this video that you can see everything thoroughly, thoroughly saturated. And again, 10 volume developer, equal ratio. Now, we have everything mixed up and we are ready to start. Just gonna give that a final stir there. So how many different ways are there to do money pieces? I have seen so many videos, so many different techniques, things. This for me has become the easiest way to go about doing it. So I'm going to teach you and hopefully it'll save you some time in the salon too. Put on my gloves and we will get started. Now, I like to have a towel handy because my hands get messy and I don't want to take the risk of bleeding all over a fresh color or accidentally mixing colors that make a really muddy, smudgy tone. Give my lightener a little bit more of a mix. Now, to do this, what we're gonna do, let me turn her here so we can really see her. I'm gonna take this top triangular section, and believe it or not, this was done with only 4 foils. Now, depending on the look that you're wanting to achieve, you can do a little more and make it bolder, a little less and make it softer. here is what we did for her. We're first going to take our rat-tailed foiling comb, and I'm going to go through and do just an itty bitty little baby weave. The tiniest of baby lights. Clip this back up out of her face. Now, thankfully, Miss Viola is very cooperative and everything. She never complains about me accidentally getting hair in her face, shampoo in her eyes, me pulling her hair. She's really the best client I've ever had. Isn't that right, B? Now, we're gonna take this up, push it down, hold it, if I can get my hands to work today, hold it tightly in place. Take our lightener, and you're just going to brush this up, or brush this down the hair, just swirl this around. Now, to really get the great look for shadow roots, which is the hot thing right now, we're gonna take just a little itty bitty bead of lightener, like that. We're gonna go up here, and rather than coming in to get the really strong, I'm gonna take and just, to quote Bob Ross, 3 hairs and some air, and just lightly feather that up to the top of your foil. Make sure everything is nicely saturated. And fold it up to a nice foil packet. One thing I have learned that I feel I should mention to everyone, when I first started using the level 8 bonder, I had some issues with bleeding, and I could not figure out what was going on. Now, I know what I did. When you mix this, because it's a 1-to-2 ratio instead of a 1-to-1 ratio, it's a little thinner. And if you have the very bad habit, like me, of squishing your foils too tight, it goes everywhere. So be aware of how tightly you are making your foil packets. For the next one, we're going to go in and do another itty bitty baby weave. Just like that. And repeat the same thing over again. Take our foil, put it on, paint it just like you normally would, and lightly feather it up to the ends. What is that, Sherry? Oh, yes. Now, normally you would not put this under the dryer. Since Miss Viola is a mannequin and they don't produce any body heat, I did hit these front pieces with just my handheld dryer for a little bit to kind of recreate the essence of body heat. I kept it about 8 inches away and had it on a medium-low setting so that it wouldn't get too hot. But no, that's a very good question. Yes, mannequins, since they don't have any form of heat, sometimes don't process color exactly. And we have to create it by covering it a little bit. You are absolutely correct. Good question. What was that, Joe? Oh, yes. No, I learned this technique actually from another matrix artist, and I was watching her class and just thought it was so cool that I had to kind of play around with it and make it my own. I don't want to say I flat out stole her technique, but I played with it. I really liked the way that she did things, and she always created these beautiful pieces, so I tweaked it a little and made it my own. Now, something different for this one. We're going to go through and take a thin little itty bitty baby slice. just as tiny as you can. You should be able to read the newspaper through this. It should be that thin. We're going to paint it and feather up to the roots, just like any other color. So, put this in. How many people have been doing a lot of these lately? I have got probably 6 a week wanting a really good money piece and then darken and really rich, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not richen, that's not right. To make the rest of the hair more rich and dark and have a lot of depth, but then have this. Does anybody else do that? Go ahead and put in the comment section what you do. That is a good idea, Michael. Yes, definitely. You could do the 2-inch section at the front. Do you have more people that want a bolder look? Because right now, everybody in my area wants a softer look for this rather than the traditional bold Rogue from X-Men stripes. No, I've definitely used that one too. That's a very good idea. All right, now for this last one, we have 2 options. I went with a softer option, but I'll show you how to do the more elaborate option too. So for this one, you're going to take a slightly bigger slice, not a baby, but not as super thick as some slices. If they want just the money piece put in and the rest of their hair left alone, I like to go in and do a really deep back comb right here, just to kind of soften that edge, and then do either a V or a W with my lightener and foil to make sure that it is how I want it to be. For her, because she wants a lighter, softer look, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a weave to leave a little bit of her natural hair out to really just kind of soften that very, very bold look. And the same with all the others. After we get our foil up there, I'm just going to paint it and then lightly feather it up to her roots. We'll do a paint, we'll do our swirl. Everything is thoroughly coated. I'm going to take my little itty bitty bead and just lightly feather that. Now, something I have found that really helps is, rather than feathering right up to the edge of the foil, keep it about the width of your rat tail comb away from the edge. That gives your lightener plenty of room to expand, and then you don't have to worry about bleed marks, because I don't know about you, I don't have time to fix those if they happen. I mean, I will fix those, but it will usually throw me a little bit behind, and I don't like to be behind. So we are going to close that foil packet and leave them alone. Does anybody know why I did the foils first? Yes, that is absolutely right, Adam. I did the foils first because this is going to take a little bit longer to process than it will take me to get all of this on. And with the 20 volume, I can leave it on a little bit longer and not have to worry about damaging her hair. So what I'm going to do now is go through. I'm going to actually lower her a little bit because I'm short. They don't make these for people that are 5'2". Do I have any other short girls there? Or short guys? Or short folks? Whatever you wish to be called. What are you? Do I have short people? Where are my short people at? Give me a thumbs up if you're a short person. Yes, you are my people. There you are. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 6AA which I have managed to get all over my brush because I, for whatever reason, am being very sloppy today. And you're just gonna do the traditional root touch-up application. So I started in this back section, and I'm just going to take small beads and paint the edges of the entire section. Viola, I need you to keep your head still. She's going to be one of those clients today. So this is what I like to do. It's what I was taught in beauty school, and the Matrix SoColor or Matrix Color Expert, if you take that on the Matrix page, they teach you to do this too. You go through each section just to make sure you get all the little baby hairs that like to stick out right at the hairline and get those nicely saturated so that you don't have, you know, those weird little red or whatever color you're trying to cover popping up. So now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to take the traditional 1/4 inch parts and apply my color just like that, fairly quickly throughout the entire thing, because we really just want enough to have a nice solid base at the root. She doesn't need gray coverage, so she doesn't need a lot of feathered down. We're not really looking for, you know, a significant amount of gray here. Oops, she's got a piece of string in her hair. Viola, what have you been doing? So, all right. So when we get all of this done, I'm going to do the back section, this front 1/4 section, and then I'm just going to go through with a little tiny baby bead of color and kind of splash the color a little between the foils. There's a lot of ways to do a shadow root. I personally like to do them both at the same time and then go in and smudge more if I need to, but you do you. Whatever way works best for you. I know some people like to do all of their highlights, balayage, things like that, and then go back and add the root. I like to do them both at the same time just because it's easier for me and I get a better look with that. Just painting our color on. Now, how does everybody do their mid-length refreshing when they decide that they're, you know, somebody needs to have their mids and ends refreshed? Do you do everything at the same time? Do you do it at the bowl? Do you apply the color first and then go through and refresh? How do you like to do it? And put it in our chat box there. Let me see what we're doing. I see at the bowl, these make the Color Sync Sheer Acidics make awesome toners at the bowl. Put them on for, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever you need to do to get the length or the hues and shades and depth that you want. I like to look at my person. Now, Miss Viola has had some damage to her hair. She's got a lot of porosity, so I'm going to use it for the full time just to make sure that her hair looks its best, because the acidic toners help to close the hair cuticle and give you that nice, shiny rock star look. That's what all my clients call it. They call it the rock star look. They say they feel like celebrities because their hair is bouncy and shiny, and they just think that I have created the awesomest thing that they've ever seen in their entire life, when in reality, Matrix sent it to me, taught me how to use it, and now I'm a genius. Does anybody else ever feel like a genius when you get a new product and you use it and it makes your life so much easier and everybody thinks that you're just absolutely amazing and you're like, yes, I know. Yeah, I do that all the time. Give me a thumbs up if you do that too. I can't be the only one that sometimes acts a little smarter than I really am. Absolutely, yes. Yes, my favorite quote comes from Harry Truman too, you know. If you can't convince them, confuse them. So we will put all this on. Now I'm going to show you how I do through these roots. In the very, very front, I'm going to take a tiny little bead and I'm just going to lightly dab under the foil. Not too much because then it'll bleed all over everything and you don't want to send your client home looking like they've been beaten at the end of their appointment because they've got big old brown spots all over their face. Just going to splash a little bit in between each foil like that. Just to give it a little bit more depth. Now for the fun part. To do this particular technique, and just stir this up a little bit more. I'm going to take our two colors, the acidic neutral and the acidic brunette ash, and I'm going to take diagonal partings, a little bit thicker, about an inch thick actually. But since they're on the diagonal, when they fall, it's going to create a nice shimmer and lay. So I think this one I'm going to start with the ash. And I'm just going to lightly coat the hair. Now, does anybody remember what I sprayed onto her mids and ends? That's right, Instacure. Why did I do that? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Amber, yes, because her hair is very porous and I don't want it to really over grab these colors. I just want a nice dimension and sheen. 1,000 points to you. Awesome. Just like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter, but you got them. Gold star for you. Awesome. I'm just going through, lightly coating. I want to make sure everything's saturated, but not oversaturated. It should be coated, but not dripping. So just continue doing this up the head. 1-inch sections alternating back and forth between the two acidic brunette toners. Oh my goodness, can you guys hear that? They're doing construction next door to my salon today, and I've locked myself in the back room because it's mostly soundproof. Does anybody else hear the sound of those dozers and things out there? Oh my. Hopefully it is not going to be too distracting. So, as we're doing this, I'm going to make sure that, as I said, the hair is coated. Just going to leave it down there. Now I'm wiping my hands in between on my towel because I like to use my hands for a lot of things, and that's just me. I have to touch. I'm an inappropriate toucher. I will be the first to admit it. Wait, that doesn't sound right. I'm not an inappropriate toucher. I get really excited and like to touch things, but I always ask permission first before I touch. And if you say no, I don't. Yeah, that sounds better. I'm not one of those people. I'm a, oh, that looks soft. Can I touch it? person. So, all right, another pop quiz for everybody. If you are wanting to create a more dimensional look, what are you going to do with this technique? Who knows? Robin, yes, you're going to add more colors. Now, Matrix makes a really great line of all of these. I chose the neutral and the ash today. Still doing my diagonal partings here, by the way, because she's got, you can see this, she's got a lot of warmth in her hair and she's wanting to get rid of as much as possible. So I chose the neutral just to kind of neutralize some of that, still have a nice tone, but not so warm. And the ash alone would have kind of overpowered her. So I'm doing a mix between the two so that she still gets a nice deep look, but it's not so starkly ashy either. So just continue with these few pieces. And then, while my timer is set and she's waiting, I will tell you how I created her final look. What are you guys doing today? I mean, other than spending time with me, which I deeply appreciate, but I'm sure you've got other things to do today. Who's gonna mow the lawn? I think that's what I'm gonna do today after I finish all this. I'm gonna go out and mow. Anybody else gonna mow the lawn? Shopping? Tara, you're not taking me with you? Really? That's just rude. I can go with a good shopping day. Where's everybody's favorite place to shop? Put it in there. I love to go to Easton Mall up in Columbus, which is about an hour and a half from me, but the food there is so good and I like to start at one end and eat my way to the other end. All right, so we've got this coated. We're just going to do her little itty bitty baby highlight here. Now for this, on this side, I put a more ashy one in there to just pop that blonde. And we're just going to fold our foil back, set it aside just like that. Now, we set our timer for 20 minutes. Her hair being very porous, may need to mist out the ends. Great thing I found, take your water bottle, start lightly misting those ends if they look like they're grabbing a little too much. And then we will come back to her. And when she's finished, she will have this lovely look. Now, when you pull these foils out, I toned her with an 8V and a 10A in the sink, the pre-bonded. I did that because her hair being porous, she needs just a little extra love in there to help pull the ions together so her hair doesn't just absorb everything and it gets the right amount of care she needs. Now, when I washed her out, I used the new bleach finder, which I love. Has anybody else used this? Give me a thumbs up if you've used this. Oh, it's great stuff. It comes out of the bottle yellow. If there is any lightener still in the hair, it turns a lovely shade of bright pink and lets you know exactly where you need to focus on really rinsing and shampooing to get that out. Because her hair is very dry, it's in a damaged state, I followed up with, you could tell I use a lot of this, the Hydro Source to help smooth down her hair, get the cuticle nice, and then I use the detangler to make her feel nice and silky. Afterwards, I used a little bit of the Airy Builder just to give her a little bit of volume. When you're doing volume, you really don't need to put it below the parietal ridge because if you think about it, the hair down here is going to fall anyway, so you want all your volume focused from right about the crown through the parietal ridge and up towards the apex and top of the head. On her ends, because she was still a little bit dry, I used a little bit of Exquisite oil just to help detangle even more. I then went through, after I blow dried her completely, spritzed her with some of the heat buffer and created the nice soft waves that you see. Then I used a little bit of the Miss Mess and spritzed it in and really scrunched those curls more so that they would have just a nice soft diffused, but they're not going to go anywhere. So she's got that nice bedhead look that everybody wants, but nobody can seem to achieve other than stylists, because we're awesome like that. So, does anybody have any questions for what I did or why I did it? Nobody? Okay. Well, this was my class. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I will see you all later. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. And all right, guys, have a great day. On the count of 3, we're going to do heart to hands. We're going to say money piece. Ready? 1, 2, 3, money piece. Woo! Have a great day, everybody. Mwah!